the mini cut and emboss, but most of the ones coming out now are perfect. Plus, they're offering 20% off on selected bundles that have dies that can be used in the mini cut and emboss. So go and look, go on, you can go to my business page and look and see what's available at 20% off. And now's the time. It's a great time. Anyway, that's all I have to share with you about that. So we're ready to get started on this beautiful spring day. Is it? I don't think it's officially spring yet. I'm not sure when the first day of spring is officially, but I know it's real soon. And the weather we're having right now is perfect. So anyway, let me turn the camera down, and we're going to get started with Mystery Thursday. Hold on a minute. Hold on. This is going to work. See? I told you. It's going to work. There we go. Here is your first clue. And clue 1, I always post the day before Stampin' Thursday so that you can gather your supplies and you can play right along with us. This is, I know not everybody likes mystery cards, mystery stamping. I do. And that's why I keep doing it. And I love searching for a card that I really like and then creating the clues. So I hope you enjoy it. And, you know, if it's not for you, that's okay. Use the design at the end and create your cards, because this one has so much potential. It really does. So here's your first clue. You need white or vanilla cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4. And then you need another piece of white or vanilla, whichever you're using, 2 1/2 by 4. Then you need your designer series paper, and I suggested that you find a flowered paper this time. It's spring, and this card just does beautifully with flowered paper. So that was a suggestion. You certainly don't have to do that, but you need 2 pieces of that paper at 2 1/2 by 4. And then you need your first piece of cardstock. You cut 3 pieces at 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. So you need 3 pieces in that color, and this, of course, would be colors that complement your designer series paper, your printed paper. So 3 pieces at 2 5/8 by 4 1/8, and then a different color cardstock. You need 1 piece at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Then you need a piece of ribbon about 10 inches long, and then I suggested that you have 1 solid top stamp. You know, we've got all kinds of sets that have solid top stamps. Let's see if I can find one here real quick. Hold on. I should have grabbed it. Let me look. Hold on. Well, one of the ones I used was Oceanfront. And I had another one. Oh, this one. Textures and Frames. Let me grab it. Okay. So here's one, Textures and Frames, that has a solid piece, this solid piece, or this solid piece. And those make good backgrounds. If you stamp it off and then use it, they make a great background. I also used Oceanfront on one of my cards. I used this piece. So there are a lot of sets that have kind of a solid piece. And that's what I meant by that. One solid type stamp, no larger than 2 by 3. And then you need 2 to 3 smaller stamps that coordinate with your designer series paper. You know, they don't have to be from the same set, but just coordinate. And then 2 separate sentiment stamps. You'll put one on the front and one on the inside. So 2 separate sentiment stamps. And then you need coordinating ink pads and other embellishments, adhesives, bone folder, all of that sort of stuff. So those are the things that you need to get to do this project with me. I just turned the light on, and I'm hoping it kind of takes the shadow away. There we go. Oh, no. It's bouncing. Oh, well, let's see. Maybe that will help. All right. So, if you have your supplies, then we're going to get started. And I hope if you're watching live that you'll post a comment so that I'll know that you're live. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment in the comments. Put your question and I'll stop and answer it, or I'll try to. And then if you're watching the replay, if you would just comment watching the replay. I do that a lot because I'm not always able to watch it at the time that it's live. And so I always let them know that I'm watching the replay and made my card, or thanks for the information, or anyway, let me know. I love to know. I hear people saying throughout the week, oh, I saw your Facebook Live, or I saw your YouTube. I would like to hear from you on the YouTube. And you know, that helps my rating. And what that allows is it allows me more exposure. And that's why I do all this. I do it to share what I love and the things that I've learned with more people. So that helps with that. All right, are you ready for clue 1 or clue 2? Here we go. Clue 2. Fold your base on the score lines, forming a Z. The short fold will be on the front left. Now I'm gonna show you because I want you to get that. So, oh, did I not? I didn't. Let me score mine. I thought I had it scored. I think I used the one. So I score it at 5.5. Hold on. I score it at 5.5 and 2 3/4. I have to be careful not to cut it. Do you have that trouble? I have to be careful not to cut it. All right. So I've scored it at 5.5, and I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to fold this back. And that's what I meant. That score did not do real great. And I always take my bone folder and really burnish those folds. I think that one cut. No. All right. So here is what I meant by the short fold will be on the front left. So this is your Z. See your Z? All right. So we've got that one. And then clue 3. Take 2 of the 3 matching cardstock pieces and the 2 designer series paper pieces, your 2 pattern paper pieces. Adhere the designer series paper, the DSP, to the cardstock pieces. So you're going to have 2 of your 3 cardstock pieces, the matching ones, and your 2 designer series paper pieces. And you're going to adhere the designer series paper to the cardstock pieces. So you'll have two separate designer series paper and cardstock pieces. So do that real quick. I think you can bring this down just a little bit. I don't know if that'll help any. I hope it does. All right. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can always pause it. That's the really nice thing about the replay. It makes it easy to do mystery stamping. And I used my tape runner, but you could use liquid glue, and that helps you to center it. There's just a little tiny border around each of those designer series paper pieces that you've added to the cardstock. All right. All right, let's go on to clue 4. Now you're going to adhere these to the front of the card, one on the folded back portion and the other right next to it on the back part. They should be side by side, and if they need to match, now's the time to do that. So here's your paper, here's your base. I don't have designers, but you're going to put one of them here. Get this up here so you can see it. One of them here and one of them here. You're going to put them side by side. All right? Just give you that little help there. So you're already beginning to see this card come together. It is a really pretty card. And I can't wait to see yours. I hope when you do it, I'm going to set up an album on my group page, which is Stampin' Dee Dee's Doings and Designs. This one is my business page, and it's the one I really need to do the video on. But I can't set up an album on this page for you to contribute to. I can only do an album that I use. So on the group page, which is Stampin' Dee Dee's Doings and Designs, you can post your picture in that album, and I hope you'll do that. All right. So hopefully you've got these glued on to the front of the card, and we're ready for clue 5. Now let's do some stamping. On the basic white or the very vanilla 2.5 by 4 piece, first stamp your solid shape or a larger image in coordinating ink in the center. Be sure though and stamp off so that it's a light image, light enough to stamp over it. So take your larger solid shape or whatever you decided to use, ink it, stamp it off, and then stamp it onto your paper, and that'll give it a second generation stamp. It'll be a lighter image. So do that, and you're going to do that in the center of that white piece, and the white piece is going to go landscape. It'll be a landscape piece. And you know what I mean by that, right? I'm sure you do. Let me get a darker piece of paper. All right, this isn't paper, but this is landscape. This is portrait. So that piece is going to be a landscape piece. I don't know what happened to my image. Yeah. Okay. So this is landscape. This is portrait. All right. I couldn't find a piece of dark paper, so I had to use a magnetic sheet. All right. So you've stamped that solid image or that solid shape or a larger image, whatever you decided to use. You've inked it, you've stamped it off once, and then stamped it onto your paper in the center of that white piece of paper. All right. Clue 6. Now stamp your sentiment, and this is your outside sentiment. Stamp your sentiment over this solid image in a dark ink. And then in coordinating inks, stamp some of your smaller images to add a decorative touch around your sentiment. So this is where you can use some of those smaller stamps and just however you want to do it. Add a decorative touch to your sentiment piece. This is your sentiment piece. So stamp your sentiment over the solid image, and you want to do that in a dark ink so it'll show up. Then in coordinating inks, stamp some of your smaller images to add a decorative touch around your sentiment. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to do that. This is sort of where the creativity sets in. And I have to tell you that the first one I do on mystery stamping, the first card I make following the clues, that's my sample. It might not be a card that I would give to somebody or use for a class. It's my sample. And then I make others using that model, and that has worked so well for me. Sometimes my mystery card turns out wonderful, but more than likely it's the design that is wonderful, and then you use that design and you create more cards. And this design, this card, I created 2 or 3 of them last night in a very short period of time, so it's a great one to use. All right, so you've stamped your sentiment over the solid piece, and then you've added some decorative touches around it. I'm going to go on. You can always pause me if you're not done yet. All right, clue 7. Now adhere this stamped piece to the 3-inch cardstock piece, then attach both to the cardstock number 2 piece. So you're going to mat it. You're going to mat it twice. Attach it to your third cardstock piece, then attach both to the cardstock number 2 piece. So I'll give you a minute to do that. You had 3 cardstock pieces that were the same size. You used 2 of them behind your designer series paper. Now you're going to use the third one behind this one, and then you're going to add the number 2 cardstock piece, which was a different color. You're going to adhere it to both of those. So you're going to have 2 mats, 2 layers behind your white front piece. All right. Now you're going to add a small bit of adhesive to the back left side at the top and the bottom of your sentiment piece. So if this is my sentiment piece, okay, this is where I've stamped my sentiment, then on the back of it, on the left side, I'm going to add some adhesive right here and right here. Right here and right here. And you're going to attach the ribbon wrapped around the front. So That's what that adhesive is for. You put your ribbon and attach it around the front. And you're going to cut off the excess off the back to use for a knot or a bow on the front. So now, after you've attached your piece of ribbon, then tie the excess, either a knot, which is a fake bow, or if you've got enough left to tie a bow and add it to the front, and you can do that with a glue dot. My voice is giving out. That's not good. I'll give you a minute to do that. Trying to figure out. There we go. I wanted it to be straight. There's lots of different ways to add ribbon to a piece like this. This is just one of them. And I'll show you a different way on one of my sample cards. I couldn't stop using this design. I just kept making cards. All right, so you've attached your ribbon around the left side of this sentiment piece, and you've cut off the excess, and now you've got a bow or a knot, and you've added that to the front with the glue dot. Or if you do the knot, you just tie it right onto the ribbon. I use a glue dot if I'm doing a separate bow. Rather than try to tie the bow around the ribbon already there, I just tie the bow and add it with a glue dot. All right. Clue 9. Add adhesive to the left side of the sentiment piece and adhere to the front left panel halfway down with about half of it off the right folded edge. This panel will overlap the opposite DSP. So you're going to add adhesive, here's my sample, to the left side of the sentiment piece and adhere to the front left panel, that's this one, halfway down with about half of it off to the right over the folded edge. So you only want sentiment, you only want adhesive on this side. And this panel will overlap this opposite designer series paper. You've almost finished your card, so you can begin to see how amazing this card is. All right. I don't have anybody commenting, so I'm assuming I'm not going too fast. If you're watching live, please comment, and I'll that's when you say slow down, or I'm not done yet, or otherwise I'm going to assume that you're either ready or you're watching the replay. All right, clue 10. Open your card, and in the blank space to the left of the designer series paper panel, add your second sentiment. And this one can also be backed by a stamped off image if desired. And I did on mine. I used a stamped off solid image or a larger image to put a light image down, and then I put my sentiment over it. And then again, you can add images around this just to add some interest to it. So open your card, and in the blank space to the left of the designer series paper panel, add your second sentiment. And this one can be backed by a stamped off image if you want, and add images around it. So I'll give you just a minute to do that. Hopefully you now see your card really coming together. I realized something I didn't do on my card, so I'm going to do it right now. All right, we're ready for our last step, our very last step. Whoops, something just fell over. All right, clue number 11, add any other embellishments. And when you finish that, if you want to add some gems or anything like that, after you've done that, you're done. That is your beautiful card. All right. So, are you ready to see the mystery card sample? Are you ready for this? Let me see if I've turned this around. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm going to assume that you finished your card. So here is my first sample. And actually, this is not the first one maybe I should show you the first one I did. The first one I didn't do with flowered paper because I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't do it with flowered paper. So here is the first one that I did. Move it over here. So you can see the light background image. I hope you can see that. It was a real pale color that I used. There you go. And I love black and white. So I chose to do black and white on this one. And I just added the knot. I need to move it down a little bit. I just added the knot on my ribbon. And then there's my inside. And the background image that I did was actually a flower image on that one. So you can see that. And some spray, some specks. Whoops. And then this is where you're going to write your message to the person. And then the gems that I added at the end. So this is the first one I did. And I just loved it. I loved this design. I loved the way this card opened up. All right, that's my first one. Oh, and I did the envelope. I just added the same image on the envelope that I did on the card. All right, card number 2. And this one I did with the flowered paper. And I did this, this is a wedding shower card. And I'm going to use it today to take with a gift for a wedding shower. So on this one, I tied a bow and added a glue dot. And again, I did my background. And then here's my inside. And I actually used the same flower background image because it just works so well. But this is and then my envelope has the same, one of the same flower images, the one inside, I guess. All right. Is that the inside one? Yeah, the inside image. All right, that's my number 2. Like I said, I just had so much fun. And then my number 3 card is using the daffodil paper. And I actually, on this one, I added a bow here. I didn't wrap ribbon around. And I cut out a daffodil from the daffodil paper and added it. The butterfly I added picks up the color, the flirty flamingo color in the center of the flowers. And then my inside, I just stamped the daffodil, and I stamped off and stamped it. And that's it. Then my envelope, I just stamped the daffodil image on it in the corner. I didn't show you the envelope on my first card that I did. I not only stamped the image on the front, but I stamped it around the border of the envelope flap too. So there's just lots of ways that you can decorate your envelopes and coordinate them with your cards. So, like I said, I had so much fun with this layout, with this card pattern. I thought it was so much fun. I hope you enjoy it too. And let me get it over a little bit further. All right. There we go. There we go. So you go and make some others now, and you'll see how fast it goes. The card really goes fast, and I think you will enjoy this layout, this design. So thank you again for watching, and if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. And if you would please just comment and let me know that you're watching the replay, I would really appreciate it. All right. Thanks again. Have a great day.